Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Homewrecker Podcast. I am the Golden Greek Alex Arion, joined as always by my beautiful, lovely, gorgeous, amazing trophy wife, the lovely Monique. Monique,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm good. How
Hello.
are you? Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Greetings and
Yes.
salutations and what have you.
And the same to you. And to all of our listeners.
Tremendous.
Yes.
All right. So, what's new with you this week? Anything?
This week. Well, actually, I just, we're recording in the beginning of December.
You're going to give this whole history now?
Excuse me, you asked. Do you want to know?
So what's new with you
Well,
this
why'd
week?
you ask if you don't want to know?
Yeah, all right. Fair enough.
We're recording in the beginning of December. We have a snowstorm happening outside, which is really cool.
Yes.
But,
the snow is coming down.
oh, the weather outside is weather. Remember?
What is that from?
Forgetting Sarah Marshall? Is that the name
That's
of the
what
movie?
it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that song, the way he does it. So I was talking to a friend, and because our birthdays were both Sagittarius, our birthdays are like days apart, and we were having a conversation, and it was really nice because I was able to say out loud some of the things I've been like feeling and thinking and like kind of enlightening myself with, and just basically like, I am the way I am. And I've been kind of saying this for a while, but I'm like kind of more and more coming into my own. And I'm very unconventional. So like a lot of crystals that I work with, what people in what you read in books say, oh, well, they make you feel like this and they work this chakra and all that. And it's like, yeah, it works differently for me, but that's just how I operate. When I get feelings and thoughts and things like that, it's like it might not always be like textbook, but it's just my own thing. And I've just been coming more and more into like, fuck everything else. I am me. I operate the way I operate. It might not be textbook, but I'm not going to fit in a box, and that's okay.
So that's what's new with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm just kind of coming more and more into that, and it's awesome. And it's bringing about more self-confidence.
I like it. All right.
I was like, you don't know where to go with this. You just don't know.
So what's new
You're
with you?
like, honey,
And then
I love you.
It's like saying, so what time is it, honey? And you tell me how to build a watch. No, I asked you what time it was.
You asked.
All right. That's good. Well, all right.
Where I took the direction of your question, you can't control. All you can control is the way you react to it.
Off.
You were asking what was going on with
Right.
me, and I was telling you.
All right. Well, with me, there's nothing new, so you don't even have to ask. There we go. Yay.
All right, as I put my mouth into the microphone. Whatever, it's me. I don't care.
All right. So you don't care.
I-
That's wonderful. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing.
I don't care.
So,
I care, but I don't.
You care, but you don't.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. Tremendous. So this week, well, do you have anything else you want to talk about before we get into what we're going to talk about this week?
Yes, I do. I'm going to plug myself because,
Okay.
as we've discussed, I need to promote myself more.
All right. So just do it.
Oh my God, just let me do it.
Just do it.
Let me do my thing. So, if you are looking for orgonite, if you're looking for incense, smudging spray, or tarot or oracle reading, you can go to my Etsy shop, Wonders by Monique. You can also go to my website, tarotbymonique.com. Woo!
Yeah. So do that.
Yes,
That's great.
please, and thank you.
Yes. Please and thank you, of course.
I am polite.
Yes.
Oh my God, I will share, like, every time I get a notification on Etsy, somebody, like, favorited something, I'm like, oh, thank you. I, like, put that energy of gratitude out there.
Yeah, that's something that is, I think, is definitely very important, is approaching everything with gratitude.
Yes.
Just being thankful. I mean, geez, if everybody did that, everything would be so much different. If people would just be more grateful for things.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, we actually did an interesting thing last night. here at our house, and we had just all of us sitting in the living room together, and we kind of went around and did we just quickly said what we were all grateful for. I want to try to make that a more regular thing if we could.
I do that with the kids a lot, with one-on-one time and go over gratitude. But I always like to point out the littlest things are what you should be most grateful for, especially because clean water, having a home to live in, not everyone has that luxury. Food, and the ability to get picky with your food. Oh, well, I don't want that, I want this. That's huge. So I always try to point out what seems like the most simplest things in life aren't guaranteed, and so it's important to be thankful for it.
So you're a mom.
Yes.
Okay.
I've been doing that with our boys ever since I felt they could listen and comprehend, even before that, just be thankful for everything.
But again, they're kids, so
yeah. That's why you gotta dig it in.
Do they listen? Do they really care?
Stomp that knowledge in there.
Probably not yet.
Be thankful.
You're programming them from an early age.
I am programming my children to be grateful.
All right.
It's about perspective. That's all. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I didn't know that you were going to talk. Go on. I'll shut up.
Are you sure? Is it okay to continue now?
You may proceed.
I am going to leave all these uncomfortable pauses in. I'm not going to edit them at all. They're all going to stay in. Just because.
All right, then.
I say that every show. I'm not editing this. I just never...
See, you don't care either.
I don't care anymore.
Yep, Ron.
I don't know if that's a good attitude to have.
I like it because it's hey, here we are, warts and all. Just
fair enough. All right, fair enough.
It's real.
Of course, on video, we don't edit really much of anything, so you are seeing us, warts and all, viewing us, watching us. What do you use again?
Watchers and hearers.
That's what it is.
Yes. We want the truth, and what's the point of that if we hide our flaws?
Who's to say that it's a flaw, or what you have is a
But
flaw?
what people consider flaws, these, quote unquote imperfections.
But that's
this is who we are.
That's what makes you a person and unique.
Do you remember when we were first dating, what I said to you about your imperfections?
No, remind me.
It's what makes you so perfect.
That's right. And I remember we used to use the term swimmingly a lot as well.
Swimmingly. Yes.
We get along swimmingly. Yes.
And you make me swoon. And you still do.
That's tremendous. Good stuff.
Yeah. But we are who we are,
Yeah.
and we're not perfect, and that's okay. And
Nobody is. Damn it.
And that's kind of
perfect.
what we're trying to show is
Nobody.
We've been saying this, everyone tries to put on this facade of perfection, and it's no, this is real life, and stuff happens. So here you go.
Okay. This has gone way. This is not how I envisioned this show going at all. Talking about any of this stuff. But
That's
anyhow,
okay. Moving forward.
Are you ready to move on now?
Jump in.
Let's jump in. All right, cool. So last week, everybody listening now, we had on Sean Gorman and his lovely girlfriend Morgan, and we did some wrestling, and we watched along two of our favorite matches, and we gave commentary, and then we just talked a bit about them and everything, and that was a lot of fun. Well, when Sean was here, he brought me a movie to watch because
not that kind of movie for those getting dirty thoughts.
I didn't think that had to be clarified, but okay. Well, he brought along a movie and said that it was awesome, and I think we texted about it or something, and he'd asked me if I'd heard of it and all this. But anyway, we watched it last night. Finally, got around to watching it a couple days later, and it is the McPherson Tape. McPherson, however you say it. The McPherson Tape. Well, we're going to talk about it today because it's I think, pretty awesome. And it's the very first found footage movie that was ever done. It came out in 1989, and it's about alien abduction. So let's get into it.
I'll let you kind of lead this.
You're giving me. Well, I mean, it's just like anything else that anytime we do like a movie review. I mean, I'll give a brief synopsis. The movie's only it's a little over an hour long, so it's not super long. And the quality, again, we watched it on Blu-ray, but it was filmed on a VHS, cassette recorder. It was a home movie essentially, and it was done in one take, which I think is crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There was like no script. It was all improv actors who were hired to play the parts of this family, who essentially went through an alien abduction. And so yeah, just a really really cool thing. So I mean, the synopsis is pretty much it starts off at a in a home. Yeah. They're doing a birthday party for a 5-year-old little girl. Mm-hmm. It's just
it's a family.
It's a family. Yeah, it's like the grandma, the little girl, her parents, and
her two uncles. One of the uncles' girlfriends.
Yeah, and that's it. And they're just having a birthday cake, singing happy birthday.
Oh, and warning, spoilers.
Yes, but spoilers coming up. The movie about alien abduction. There's actually aliens in it. Crazy, right? And so the power goes out, and the men of the home decide to go outside to investigate and figure out why the power's gone out. And while they're outside, there's a red light that flashes in the sky, and they're all like, "What was that?" They don't really show it, but I mean, you see like a red. It's because it's dark outside. It takes place at night.
It's like the reflection of the light.
Yeah. And so then they go to investigate, and they see a spaceship, and then they see 3 aliens. Little aliens are outside, and then they run back home, and all hell breaks loose as they realize that the aliens saw them and are coming to get them. And yeah, it's pretty crazy after that. So I guess might as well just go into
let's talk about it.
All right, so spoilers coming up. So they get back home and they tell the ladies of the house what happened. Everybody's freaking out. Everybody's going nuts. And they hear that the aliens are on the roof, right? So
first they're talking about it. They don't know what's going on, and then it's like all of a sudden they realize they're outside.
They're outside. Yeah. And so they hear footsteps on the roof. So one of them shoots up at the roof, and the alien falls and lands in a tree, right?
It was on the ground.
It was on the ground?
By a tree.
It was by a tree.
Yeah.
It was kind of hard to tell because, again, old footage, kind of grainy, and it's dark outside. And obviously this was all done by design by a very brilliant filmmaker, in my view. Mm-hmm. And so they bring the alien inside and set it down in a room in the house. And then the 2 of the men decide to leave to go up the road to get their truck, because I guess they're in a very rural.
They live on a mountain. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, there's that word again. RURAL.
Rural. Think of
I
rural.
just have such a hard time with that word, so apologies. And so they go to get the truck, and while they're gone, the little alien that was brought in, the dead alien, I'm putting my fingers up here in quotes, it escapes from the room, and yeah, I mean, it meets up with its 2 buddies, and then they come in and accost the family.
This movie was done so good.
And then you see the aliens are kind of walking into the home to go get to the family, and then the camera just goes like to static, and it's awesome.
This is a movie that when it was made, when was it made? Like, did he actually film it? Was it 86 or 87?
I think 86 or 87.
And came out in 89.
Correct.
And it's one of the movies that didn't gain popularity.
It was barely released. I mean,
very limited.
Yeah, so we watched after the movie was done. We were like, "Oh, that was really good." After it was done, we watched on the Blu-ray. There are a couple of extras and special features, and there's a Q&A with the director that took place after a screening that they did at some convention, and he tells kind of the whole story of everything. So I think he said they filmed it in 86, 87, something like that, when he was like 23 years old. And it was just a bunch of improv actors that he got, and they shopped it around in Hollywood, got laughed out of a bunch of places. And because, again, this had never been done before. Found footage. Imagine you bring this into a movie studio and like, here.
And like the 80s.
Yeah, in the 80s, right. And so he was picked up by some distributor, essentially for direct-to-video type release, and the warehouse where the master tape was stored burned down. So they never were able to distribute the movie. He had like a screening and stuff like that for his family and friends and whatever, and but the movie, as far as wide distribution goes, it was never widely distributed. But apparently what happened was a number of these tapes, advanced copies like they used to do. Your parents used to go to video stores.
Video stores used to get screeners. That's what we call them.
Yeah.
And so these screeners were essentially the movie. And video store owners would watch the movie to see how many copies they wanted to order. So, oh yeah, this is a big blockbuster. We're going to want to get a lot of these. Or this probably isn't, like where I grew up in Drake at Mass, like my parents might watch a movie and say like, this isn't really going to fit our community, like for the mom and pop type places. But it allows them to make a decision if they want it all or how many copies, because movies were really expensive back in the day.
Yeah. So what happened was a bunch of these screeners made it out, and before the tape could be distributed, and I guess somebody edited out the credits from the movie and started putting it out into the UFO research community,
which is kind of genius.
It's like what the director was saying was genius. Wish I'd have thought of that.
But it's kind of cruel.
Yeah, and so a bunch of people started circulating the tape, and it started making the rounds in the UFO community as the only legitimate alien abduction UFO tape, right? So, and I guess a couple years went by. The warehouse burned down, so he was never able to get the movie distributed. His hopes and dreams of the movie dashed, and what have you. And I think he said about 3 or 4 years later, he gets a phone call from somebody asking how he got the footage, or if he knew who got the footage. And he's like, yeah, I made it. And the guy's like, oh. And I guess at this point, he was told by this person, yeah, your tape's been making the rounds in the UFO community. It's been shown at conventions and all this kind of stuff.
And we all believe it's real.
And I mean, there was like an army general or something, like a retired general who'd been in the military for over 40 years. And
former military.
Former intelligence.
Who all were trying to say, this seems authentic.
Yeah, they were saying it's authentic and all this kind of stuff. So it was pretty interesting how so many people were fooled by this.
And I want to kind of dive into that aspect in terms of why it seems so authentic. I think the one, it was filmed on a videotape.
Yeah,
and that it was
VHS,
that it was kind of that first person. It's, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it was like a
you have like where they kind of cut off the dinner from the birthday party, the cake, and then kind of what leads up to it. And it's not like it's a lot, but it's enough to kind of feel like, okay, this is a normal family. It's people used to do that birthday parties. They videotape that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Normal. But then things start happening. And the way everyone is like talking over each other, they're freaking out. They don't know what to do. And like all the things that sometimes when you see in movies, you're like, why are you doing that? Like, are you stupid? But like, they're getting called out on it by somebody else. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's stupid. So it's thrown like right at them. Like, you're doing something stupid. It just seemed very realistic.
Yeah, it was very, I think just the fact that there was no script. I mean, everybody's given essentially, the outline of what they're going to be doing.
This is your character.
So they kind of know what they're going to be getting into, but there's no script, so like you said, people are talking over each other. People are calling each other out on stuff, acting as if it was real because they are just improvising their lines. And all they know is they've got to fill in this time with dialogue, and they know, obviously, the plot points of the movie, what's going to happen, but it was all done, like I said, one take, which is incredible.
But while they're doing that, they're talking about, like, there's a part where they're going to investigate, and then they talk about, mom's been drinking. And it's just this random thing where you think, I could see the brothers are outside of the house.
Yep.
They're away from the women, so to speak. But, okay, while all this shit is going on, we don't know what's going on, we have a moment to talk. This is something that's happening, and you're like, oh shit, like, okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of those little subtleties that if you're listening and paying attention, you're like, okay, yeah, this seemed legit. Like, this is what would happen if this were real.
'Cause
This is how a conversation would go.
Because if it was a movie, you'd think, okay, this is a subplot, so where is that going to come into anything? But it doesn't. It's
Right.
just
dialogue.
Yeah.
They're talking, and they're having, they're talking about things as if, they're talking about like their sex life and just stuff like that.
stuff gets talked about.
Exactly. So it was when it was just the guys. It was guys. There was like one of them farted, and
Yeah.
like, oh, smell that. They're just doing stuff that guys would do. It was really just. So I could see where people were fooled.
Mm-hmm. When it came to actually the spaceship and the aliens, I think they did a really good job because you have that graininess of the film. It's nighttime. It's tough to see. You can make something out, so you don't need those special effects because
Right.
you're just like, I can make out, okay, I can see how that looks like a spaceship. And then you see the aliens and you're like, shit, I can see how, yeah, it doesn't have to get up close and personal, but you see it and you're like, okay, I can see how that can be real.
Yeah. I could see how people were fooled by
Oh,
this.
absolutely.
And I was watching it and saying, knowing the backstory because Sean had explained it to us and everything. And I was watching it thinking, if I had seen this back in 89, 90 as a 13, 14-year-old kid who was into UFOs and aliens and stuff, if I'd have seen it then, I'd have brought it to all my friends. Look, it's real. Told you aliens are real. Here you go. Here's the proof. I can see me being one of those people back then, falling for it. And now the best part about
Then
this,
there'd be
though,
me who's like, it's a movie, there's credits at the end, I have the screener.
No. Oh yeah, you. Right. Oh, I thought.
I'd be like,
yes.
you're wrong.
You're wrong. Here's the screener. What?
Here are the credits.
Yes. But the tape that was making the rounds was cut after the credit. There was no credits, so that's why it was fooling people. So again, just brilliant, but a great way to hoax or to again disinformation. I guess.
think everyone did their job in trying to make it seem as real as possible. I mean, mission accomplished.
Yeah.
People
for sure.
legitimately thought this was real found footage.
There's still people out there
and they
who
still
think
believe.
that even though it's out on Blu-ray now, the director came out publicly about it many years ago, obviously back in the early 90s, and actually ended up doing a remake with a big budget. At the time, I think it was over $1 million was his budget, and he basically remade the movie into a TV movie with a big budget, some name actors and everything, and people still think that
They think it's disinformation.
They think it's disinformation. They think that the original film that he did on his camcorder with improv actors, they think it's real. They think that it's legitimately real. And the best part is he's got a still shot of the aliens in the movie and with their masks off, and it's
little
3 little girls that he hired to play the aliens. Small little girl. I think they were like 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah, 8 years old.
And people see that picture and they still think, no, that's just disinformation. This is a real abduction tape. What? So even though you're telling people, no, it's not real, it was a movie that a guy made and whatever, they still will not believe it because they are so hell-bent on proving that aliens and alien abduction and things like that are real, that this is their proof.
Okay, so I want to talk about that too. In terms of, could this be disinformation? Could this be real? And this guy is just coming out saying, no, I made a movie. But on the DVD, there's a panel, they did a screening of it, and the director came out.
Yeah.
And then he had one of the actors in the movie come out. He was Mike, the guy who was holding the whole camera the whole time, the director. And so these people the director was the guy Mike holding the camera. Wasn't
the director's name is Dean Alioto.
I know, but the character was Mike.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, the guy holding the camera, his name was Mike. Then you had, was it Eric? Was one of the brothers. So they're both up there. They were in the movie. If they were really abducted, it's just kind of, I don't know how. So right there should be able to tell you that it's not disinformation.
But the best part about it is that it's a movie that was made And it just never, because of circumstances, it just never became widely distributed at the time. And
but it did.
These guys were not trying to hoax anybody or fool anybody. They're just trying to make a movie.
It did become widely distributed.
But it became widely distributed.
Yeah,
it did become widely distributed. It got an underground cult following, but not for the reasons that they wanted. People actually took it and made it real.
I mean, one of the guys, like some of the interviews about this, one of the guys was saying, like, you know, when they were carrying the alien in the house, you can see how the eye sunk it in. And from my research, that's actually what happens.
You're talking about, there's an extra on the Blu-ray from the TV show Encounters.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
And they interviewed people about it and why they thought it was real. And I just thought that was so interesting. So the research you've done that we have no real proof for, though, it's so hard. It's like, yes, we hear these stories, but where does it come from? If you look hard enough, I think anything you believe will align with something. So to say, oh, because the eye was sunken in and that really happened.
Yeah, there's just a lot of weird reasons why people believe this was a real movie.
And I think where it becomes dangerous is, like you said, I'm so hell-bent on proving I'm right, I don't care if I'm wrong. And when you have something that there is, I think, some truth to it, when you start going that way, it becomes dangerous because people know you're wrong and you're still fighting. So it's kind of like that everything else that you brought to the table that might be true, who cares, because you know this is false and you're still trying to say it's true. It kind of ruins it all.
Well, it's like I've said before. I think it's a Mark Twain quote. It's easier to convince people of a lie.
It's easier to lie to people.
It's easier to lie to people than convince them they've been lied to. Right? Exactly. And that's definitely the case with this, for sure. In my view, it's crazy. But yeah, that Encounters TV spot that was done. It was pretty interesting because they were talking about how. And that was the other thing that we forgot to mention. Footage from the movie, after it was circulated at UFO conventions, was on like local news. And clips of the movie were on like local news being shown as legitimate alien abduction footage. Like, what? So, I mean, there you go. It's that,
journalism.
Yeah, well, yeah. And I mean, that was back in the 90s. Now, obviously, I don't believe anything that's on the news ever, but it just goes to show you that even that far back, the news is manufactured. And that's a small side tangent, but just think about that. You have movies, right? You watch movies, you watch extras on DVDs, Blu-rays, whatever, if you still buy those. And you see behind the scenes of how a movie was shot, or you have a director explaining how this scene was crafted or whatever, and they'll show you behind the scenes how they're setting up shots and this and that. What do people think the news that you watch on TV is? It's a production. Anything that you see on your TV was filmed with a camera, had a crew, was mic'd, was lit well. It doesn't matter where it's filmed. What you're seeing on the screen is what whoever is putting it together wants you to see. So always remember that when you're watching anything on TV or in movies or anything like that. Especially nowadays, the news, especially. Just remember, you're seeing what they want you to see, not the truth.
They are trying to get you to project an emotion. And they want you to take that emotion and run with it, because that's what they're trying to get you to feel a certain way.
Right. So now...
and I just want to throw in terms of feeling. Watching this movie, I'm laying in bed, and I'm just like, some of this stuff, like, okay, I know it's a movie, but the way the camera is, like, you're just waiting for something to happen. And it's like you start, like, I was tensing up, and I'm like, okay, all right, is the alien going to come? Like, what's going on? And then there's nothing, and it's like, oh, okay. But there's so many moments where it felt like, oh, what's going to happen? Is something going to come? Like, you feel that. And I thought that was awesome. Like, I could literally feel my body. I'm laying down, and I felt my body, my muscles tightening. It was, like, lifting me up a little bit. So instead of, like, being relaxed and laying flat, I was, like, pulling myself up almost like at, like, this angle where I just slightly am up more. Because there was so much tension of, wait, okay, the camera's pointing in this direction, something. They want us to focus on something. And it was nothing, but it's what it does in your mind, creating that realism, allowing you to be like, okay, something's going to happen. What is it? I'm ready. And then it's nothing. It was great. I loved it.
So there you have it. We both enjoyed it tremendously.
Yes.
Very good movie. I definitely recommend watching it, but again, just know it's a guy holding a camcorder, so it's not like you're watching some high def 1080p spectacle.
There's a lot of just dark. You can't see what's going on. You don't know, and I liked that because it really makes you feel like if you were there. You're that person. That's your angle. That's your view of it, and I'm not big on found footage, but this one, I really like how it was done. I was able to enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm not a huge found footage movie fan either. And like when the camera shakes, that usually just irritates the hell out of me. But this didn't bother me. No, I'm saying like most found footage movies, that's what you have. You have like the camera shaking and people running and stuff like that. And to me, I don't like that. But you get a lot. I mean, that's what this movie is. But I didn't mind it in this movie for whatever reason. It didn't bother me this time around. So I thought that was good. Now we were looking at IMDb a little bit for some stuff.
Yes.
Do you have some trivia that you'd like to add?
Let me get back
for this movie, the McPherson Tape, which was not the original title. The original title was Alien Abduction.
That was another thing that was brought up in there. The original title. It says here that many UFO enthusiasts incorrectly believe the film consists of real footage of an alien abduction. So basically, it's just going off about people thought it was real, as we've discussed. It's not real. Sorry to burst that bubble.
Wow, that's great trivia you're reading there.
I'm just
stuff we've already talked
paraphrasing. Well, you wanted to know what was in there.
I'm just curious if there's anything you want to add that we haven't already talked about.
Actually, one of the things that came up in the commentary, it's mentioned here about the master was destroyed in the fire.
Right.
So the director actually was going on YouTube, and when people would post the movie, he'd report it so it'd get taken down. But then he realized, he wants to, get a new master. So he took it from somebody's YouTube copy.
Yeah, he ripped the copy off of YouTube, yeah.
And then he reported them.
Yeah. Hey,
that was kind of funny.
Good for him.
You wanted to read, I think, because we talked about everything that's on the trivia that I see. You wanted to read some reviews.
Yeah, so you got our reviews. We liked it. We both thoroughly enjoyed it and definitely recommend it. But I thought, because we had so much fun doing this the last time around when we did our last movie review, that I would go to IMDb for some other user reviews. Now, I don't know if I want to start with the good reviews or the bad, or just kind of read them as I get here. Okay, let's start with a bad review first. 1 star from a user named Fiona. This was back on July 29th, 2006, so that's interesting. This Blu-ray didn't come out till, I think it came out this year, 2020. Yeah, it came out this year. So this person, I don't know when they saw it or whatever, but the title of the review, "What a Heap of Shite. I cannot believe that anyone actually takes any of this stuff seriously. It reminds me of my reluctant introduction to a TV program called Most Haunted. My sides were splitting, it was such a laugh, but eventually I became offended, as with this drama that people take it seriously. That in fact it is punted to suggest we take it seriously. Please. Check out Mom carrying her carefully scripted glass of wine through all the action. It's hysterical. Please, watch it and laugh. Anything else? Get a shrink. I also find the tearful face to camera quite sad. Do we really live in a world where people play on our emotions and conspiracy theories this much? Please, tell these people to tell Uncle Tommy to really put the camera down and get back to acting lessons." All right. So that was Fiona's review. Well, here's another 1-star review titled, "What Were They Thinking?" and warning, spoilers. We've already spoiled the movie anyway. So this one also back from June of 2009. What was going on in June of 2006? Okay, excuse me. So this is from June of 2009. "I'm not going to waste too much time on this film. What are people thinking when they say Scary. Are you kidding? I've seen scarier Care Bear movies. The acting is shocking. The whole thing?
I think they mean thing.
Yeah, whatever. The whole thing is so set up, and I mean my 15-year-old brother could make more realistic aliens in his high school lessons. Don't waste your time unless within 20 minutes of watching you want to split your sides with laughing due to the bad acting and the shoddy effects. Spoiler, I mean at one point after the blokes see the aliens, they actually sit down to eat a meal. Would you do that? And also, through most of the house scene, the mother is still carrying a glass of wine. Think I would have dropped that a while back if anything was near real? Alright.
I want to say, so there's a part where the guys see the aliens, and they still don't have power. So basically, I understood it because you got a kid there. You have a little girl, and you don't want this kid to get panicked. So the women, they're all sit down, relax, because they think these guys are crazy. Okay, you saw something, you're getting us all upset. Let's just sit down, let's eat the cake, let the kid open her presents. So I actually understand that as a parent, thinking you need to control the situation. You don't know what's going on out there. Let's just normalize everything and pretend that nothing happened.
I love that you're trying to justify liking the movie.
No, I'm just saying, no, because that thought came in my mind, okay, they're having cake, but then I understand that. That's my point of, okay. I thought that too, but then I'm okay, nope, I understand that.
All right, here's another review. This is a 2 out of 10 star review, titled, No Intelligent Life. This is from October 3rd of 2020, so this is a recent review. I'm surprised the mothership didn't laser these people from orbit.
Aww.
That's the review.
I feel like these people want their 60 minutes of life back.
All right.
Did they know it was a movie? That's what I want to know.
The one from 2020,
yeah.
I think all 3 of them knew it was a movie. They're pretty obvious with it.
I'm curious of the background.
Now, here's another 1-star review from January of 2013. This is good. Titled, Let Me Explain Why It's Fake. I love these. These are great. When people have to give you the reasons why of something. Think about this, will you? The premise is that someone is videotaping all this strange activity that's going on, right? The strange activity is because of aliens, right? So how come when the guy actually brings the alien into the house, the video guy doesn't even get a shot of it? Looks almost like he was avoiding getting a shot of it. He should have been all over that alien with his camera. Close-ups, clear as possible. Wouldn't you get shots of the alien if all you was doing was shooting everything else? We don't want to see your family running around. We want to see the alien. That's why this video is fake. Now, let's be reasonable, shall we? The camera guy is actually doing a great job in the situation. People are scared. Men are running around confused, trying to protect their family. They actually shoot down one of the aliens because of fear. Then, for some unknown reason, he brings the thing into the house where his family is actually hiding from it. Don't make sense. And the videographer doesn't even get a shot of the most important thing to happen to mankind in history. And then in all caps, it's fake, people. And
I want to respond to that because we were why are you bringing the alien in? Why? And he's because if they want to look for it, they got to come here. And the women are so you're going to make it come into the house? You're an idiot. So how I brought up, people doing stupid things in movies, and then, at least they get called out for it in this. Other people, you're a fucking idiot.
Yes.
But, oh, I'm so sorry. I just crossed my legs. I just kicked you in the shin. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
With why he didn't get a close-up. Because, again, I was thinking that, too. Get up in there. Cut that thing open. Let's see what makes it tick. I'm just saying. But he didn't. But he also, I felt like the character did a good job. I don't want to be near that. I'm afraid. I don't want to be around it, which is why he didn't. So, I can see that point. But yeah, why the hell did he bring it in the house? Because it makes a good movie, damn it.
Here's another 1-star review, since we're on the 1-star kick. Titled, Terrible Trash. This is from October 8th of 2020. So another recent review. If you're going to film UFOs, maybe you should learn to focus a camera, or better yet, use autofocus. Anyone believing this actually happened needs professional help ASAP. Garbage of a movie. Boring.
Did they forget it was filmed in the 80s?
I guess.
On a camcorder?
I think so. So, again, I think a lot of these reviewers are not taking into account the time period of the movie, the fact that it was filmed on what was it, like a $6,500 budget.
Yeah.
And I think he said all that money was like for catering, and I think he spent like $750 on the UFO
And the
spaceship
costumes.
itself, and the costumes. Yeah. So I think a lot of people are missing that. And again, 1-star reviews, whatever. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, of course, and you may watch the movie knowing everything we've talked about and might
I just
think
want
we're
to know.
stupid for liking it. And that's cool. Hey, everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah. I just want to know, like, for the 1-stars, like, their background. Like, did they come in knowing this is a movie? Did they think it was real and then found out it's a movie? Like, where were they in terms of what was going on at that time? If it was real, if it was a possible movie.
I would think these ones from just a couple months ago would have to have known it was a movie.
But what is the background?
Obvious,
like, what do they know of it?
But yeah, it makes you wonder, like, did they realize it was done in the 80s? Yeah, who knows? But again, it's okay. Again, everybody's entitled to their opinion. You're never going to please everybody.
Hey, we found it amusing.
Yeah, we like
and entertaining, so thank you.
So, look, there's some good reviews here.
Read some good ones.
Yeah, okay. So let's do, here's a 7-star review, which 7 out of 10 ain't bad. This is from a username B Movie Dork, and this was from back in September of 2013, titled "The Real LOL McPherson Tape." The infamous real McPherson Tape. Hugely controversial among the alien abduction enthusiasts. Hundreds of people still think that this is the real deal. Well, sorry to burst your bubble, but it isn't. Still, this is probably the most believable found footage movie I've ever seen, as it really does feel as if you're watching an actual VHS camcorder home video of a real Midwestern family in the early 1980s. The alien abductions themselves are not really the focus here. The focus seems to be the tension that this family feels while being scared out of their wits. I prefer this original version over the 1997 made-for-television remake, Alien Abduction Incident in Lake County, which screamed fake right from the get-go. Awful acting, no chemistry between the actors' characters, overblown effects, and laughable documentary interviews interspersed to insult the viewer's intelligence. Even though this original version is bare bones and lacking in alien action, it still manages to be taut, atmospheric, well-acted, and most of all, believable. This has been next to impossible to find for decades, but thankfully someone has uploaded a pirated copy on the internet recently. If you're a fan of the remake, aliens, UFOs, found footage, or just underground cinema in general, do yourself a favor and check it out. But just remember, it's only a movie. There is no real McPherson tape floating around out there. The name of the family in this original version isn't even McPherson, it's Van Hees.
One thing I forgot to mention, it reminded me about, with this movie, another element that I thought was really smart to put in is isolation. This family is isolated. They live on a mountain, and the closest neighbors are gone for the weekend. So obviously, there's miles upon miles where there is nobody. So right there, adding in that they are alone, and to get to somewhere where it might be safe is difficult.
Yeah.
And I liked that aspect of it too. I forgot to
Yeah,
mention.
no, I agree. And I think that was a great detail that was put into the movie. It just, great
It's
thing
the
that the filmmaker
things.
thought of. Yeah, well, yeah, of course, absolutely. Here's another great review, or a good review, I should say. It gets 10 out of 10 stars, and it's titled Top Movie. Back from June of 2001, so this was a while ago. This, in my opinion, is the most frightening movie I have ever seen. The story of a family at a Thanksgiving dinner and the hell that follows when they are visited by aliens. The film is shot almost entirely on a home movie camera, which only adds to the realism, and the actors play their parts very well. Myself, not being the type to scare easily, was on the edge of my seat throughout. I gave this movie a 10 rating, as I cannot fault it. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another 10 out of 10 star review titled Very, Very Scary. This one from May of 2001. And I love these usernames. Dave's Got a Cat is this guy's username. So
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
And hi to your cat.
Yes. Well, this is 2001, so it's got to be a different cat by now, I would think.
Not necessarily.
Or it's a very old cat.
Yeah.
Now I know where the producers of, in my opinion, the vastly inferior Blair Witch Project could have got the idea of a domestic video film from. This was one hell of an intense fly-on-the-wall movie. Many of the scenes comprised of one long take. Spoiled only by the fact I recognized a few of the actors, and some had obviously had drama training. Despite these, I gave this film a 10. Very few films can hold my attention at the edge of my seat like this one. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is one I didn't read before, but I just noticed it. 10 out of 10, another one. Titled, What is the Real Story Behind the Video? This was from back August of 2006. I have often wondered if there is more to this story than meets the eye. It appears as fake, and maybe so it is. However, there are elements of truth wrapped up in a supposed work of fiction. I believed it to be based on fact. Every time I see it, I see something that I didn't catch before. Don't get me wrong, Hollywood and other studios do great magic with the paranormal, but I also know that truth can be painted as fiction to reduce hysteria. Having been an experiencer from the age of 4, and had my own encounters with the Greys in the 80s, I felt the hair on my neck stand up on end watching this film. There was a sense of familiarity that I don't find in other works of fiction relating to the Greys. The memories of that night of when they came for me flashed back in this film. I have watched films like Signs and others of the genre, but none really touches base like this one.
Very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. And I think that during that Q&A that's on the extras in the Blu-ray here,
Mm-hmm.
That the director actually mentioned that, how he had been told by various people who claimed to have been abducted or had alien experiences that the movie was very, very reminiscent of their encounters and what they had experienced as well. So that's pretty interesting.
And I wonder if because it's so like, here's a family, it's not like something extraordinary is happening that day. It's just normal stuff, and then all of a sudden that. And I don't know. And just, again, there's isolation. So even if you have people around you, you can feel isolated from them, perhaps. I don't know.
One little detail we forgot about the movie, towards the end of the movie, the random characters, people will get up in a trance and they start to kind of walk towards the door where the alien's being kept, the quote-unquote dead alien.
Open the door.
And they're saying that they're hearing in their head the voice telling them to open the door.
And I like that because
yeah.
It's, many believe, like with these aliens, they use telepathy. And so, and okay, now my mind's just like going in every direction, but you can use...
Stay on task.
I know, you can use telepathy, like they use telepathy, so they're trying to communicate whose mind can I get into to open the door. And the first person's like, oh, where are they? And they realize like she's opening door, she's in a trance. And then there's the next person who all of a sudden like, and doesn't she say like, oh, I'll be right back, or excuse me? And then
I don't think so.
No, she did say she excused herself from the table.
Oh.
But then she goes and does it. And so I'm just waiting like, okay, who's next? Who's the next person who's going to do it?
Well, it ends up being the dude holding the camera. Ends up going, and that's when he realizes the alien's gone. Because he goes in, he opens the door, and sees the alien's gone. And that the back door
everyone was going
open.
to the front door to open the front door, and he went to like the room they put the alien in.
Ah, yes, okay.
But yeah, and like again, that whole thing, like, oh, why didn't he like zoom in on the alien? Like, he did such a good job of like being so afraid to open that door, but feeling like he had to do it. He did an excellent job conveying that fear. And then it's like, oh shit, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's like when you have a spider in your room and you're like, okay, I gotta catch the spider. And like you go get something to get it, and then it's gone and you can't find it. You're like, oh shit, where'd it go? And then that makes you even more afraid because now you don't know where it is. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yes.
Now, there's one final 10 out of 10 star review that I'll read here. And it was titled, This Has Been a Lifetime Nightmare. And this is back from January of 2020. I was born in 88. I saw this movie when I was about 7 years old. Since then, I've been fascinated, and since then, I always believed it was a dream that I saw this movie because no one I knew ever heard of it or saw it. And try to explain this movie to someone stubborn. Shake, SMH. That means
Shake my head.
Right, okay. I can't wait to watch it somehow. 10 out of 10, no joke. All right. Well, there you go.
Okay.
So there you have it.
That's happened to me with movies that are very unpopular, because I've seen some like very unknown movies, And you watch it and you try to go to people like, have you ever heard of this movie? And you try to explain it and it sounds so crazy. And people are like, no, I don't know that movie. And then you finally find somebody who knows what you're talking about. And you're like, yes, I'm not crazy. It was a movie that I watched.
Sure.
Yes.
So that's the McPherson tape. Now, why is it called the McPherson tape? Do we know? Because it's about the Van Hees family.
It is.
Well, in the remake that the director did when he got a budget, the made-for-TV movie remake, I guess the family in that movie was called McPherson. Now, the family in this movie, in the original, is the Van Hees family. So, for whatever reason, this somehow, people, I guess, were calling it the McPherson tape for whatever reason. That's how it was making the rounds. That's how people came to know it, even though the name McPherson is never once uttered in this movie at all. And I guess eventually, it was released as the McPherson tape. So that's now the title.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, I wasn't really concerned about the names of the last name. I was so into this movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
I just figured somebody listening might be like, well, you said their name's Van Hees. Why is it called McPherson?
Because the DVD box says so.
There you have it. So definitely check it out. Dean Alioto, in my view, pretty smart dude.
Yeah.
Pretty brilliant guy for coming up with this concept. And who's to say if I'm sure found footage movies would have happened regardless, but would they have been? I don't know. I feel like this kind of. I'd be interested to know if the Blair Witch guys, the guys that made the Blair Witch Project, if they had seen this before.
And if they did, would they say anything?
Right. Yeah. Of course. But I mean, this is without question the first found footage movie ever done. So, that we know of. Yeah. So definitely check it out. Highly recommended.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put like a couple links in the show notes so people can pick it up if they so desire. I don't think it's streaming anywhere, not that I'm aware of. I know when Sean and I first talked about it many months ago, I'd looked to see if I could find it anywhere. I couldn't find it streaming online anywhere.
I'd say buy the DVD. Support the people who made the movie.
Yeah, 100%.
Buy it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm going to probably end up getting our own copy of it and send this back to Sean.
Because I want to watch this over and over again.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to watch it
a million
times.
To see what we've missed and to see if we can pick up on any other little things.
And that's the great thing about this, too. It's 63 minutes long. It's not like you're investing 2 hours.
When we've watched a movie that's like an hour long, usually it's like, oh, thank God it was short.
Yeah.
This one, it didn't feel like it was an hour. It felt like a real feature-length movie over an hour. It felt like it without dragging. It just, everything, I think the timing was perfect. It didn't make me feel like it was too long or too short. It was great.
Yeah. Real quick, I'll read the back of the movie here. The world's first found footage horror movie. A decade before the Blair Witch Project redefined the horror landscape, there was the McPherson tape. On October 8th, 1983, the McPherson family gathered together to celebrate the 5th birthday of Michelle, the littlest member of their household. Everything was captured on VHS by Michael McPherson and his new camcorder, including the alien invasion, shot for $6,000 by first-time filmmaker Dean Alioto in 1989. This movie blends the production design of a JC's haunted house with a dead-serious tone to forge a fun, hypnotic nightmare that upends the concept of reality. Due to a warehouse fire at the original distribution company, the McPherson tape was never legitimately released. AGFA and Bleeding Skull are proud to present the world home video premiere of this important milestone in shot-on-video horror history, newly preserved from the original 3/4-inch master tape. So they call the family McPherson on the description here, but it's not. They're the Van Hees family. So there you go. They probably did that just to avoid confusion or whatever for people that are buying it. But yeah, I believe that's what happened. The remake was the McPherson family, the remake that he did several years later. So there you go. I'm going to have to try to dig that down, but that was a made-for-TV movie, so I don't know if it was ever released on DVD anywhere. But
we'll look. We'll
look, try and find it. Maybe we'll do a review on that if we can find it and watch it sometime down the road. That'd be great. So Do you have any other closing thoughts about the McPherson tape that you'd like to share?
I give it 2 thumbs up. I think everyone should watch it. Hopefully you watched it before you listened to this episode.
Yeah. But honestly, even if not, and you're just you're gonna go pick it up and check it out.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth your time, in my view. And again, even though we spoiled it, watch it anyway. I mean,
there's so many things we didn't talk about.
Yeah, it's just very well done, I think. And again,
I like the men with their guns protecting the women.
Yes.
And the mom, stop pointing that at us.
And it was supposed to take. Did it say it in the back here? Yeah, it was supposed to take place in 1983.
Mm-hmm.
So take that into account as well. But yeah, look, all in all, 2 thumbs up for me, 2 thumbs up from my beautiful trophy wife. So check it out. And let us know what you think if you do. You can find us on social media. We are on Twitter.
At Homewrecker Pod.
We are on Parler.
At Homewrecker Pod.
And Instagram can go fuck itself.
Yes, it can.
We also have a website.
Homewreckerpodcast.com.
All right. And again, you can watch us on YouTube and Brighteon.
Yes, like and subscribe.
Please and thank you. If you haven't already, wherever you're listening, be it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify,
Podbean,
Amazon Music. I think we're on all of them now.
Whatever strikes your fancy.
Please, follow us, hit the subscribe button if you can, and if you get a minute, please leave us a 5-star review and take a few minutes and let people know why they should listen to the Homewrecker Podcast. Yes. We really appreciate everybody's support.
Thank you.
So, until next time, I am the Golden Greek Alex Arion. I've been joined, as always, by my beautiful, lovely, gorgeous, amazing trophy wife, the lovely Monique.
And you've been listening to the Homewrecker Podcast.
You bashed my shin earlier.
I'm sorry.
That hurt really bad.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I bashed you with love.
Yes, that's fine. You could argue I've had it coming for a while.
Yes, and I think some of our listeners and our viewers and watchers could agree with that.
Yeah. That guy, good. She should have kicked him harder. F that guy. That guy sucks.
The girl's like, I told you to run. Kick him. Beat him.
Hit him harder next time. Damn it.